Eric Bischoff was doing an interview, and he spoke about the craziest thing he had ever pitched back in WCW. So here's what he said. He said, "I think the weirdest pitch I've ever come across has been my own. Like when I was going to create my own death in an airplane crash in Mexico months before Halloween Havoc, so I could show up as the spirit of myself and continue to haunt the baby faces. I was totally committed to do it. No, I wasn't high at all. I was just so committed to doing things that were so off the wall and unexpected and over the top. I went as far as to sit down with Harvey Schiller, president of Turner Sports, and went, look, Harvey, this is how this is going to work. Here's what I'd like to do. I had it all planned out." I mean, I don't really know. Where would that have ranked?
Did he explain why it did not reach fruition? Was he fired before it could reach the airwaves?
Yeah, it sounds like that was maybe a September 1999 firing that took place. I mean, if that had happened, where do you think that would have ranked on the crazy WCW booking that did play out? Because we've got Dustin Rhodes debuting as Seven, where he's this horror character that then does a shoot promo. We've got Oklahoma. We've got Judy Bagwell on a pole. All these different things.
The Warrior in the mirror? When Hogan thinks he sees Warrior in the mirror, but then he's not in the mirror. And wasn't there that time when Warrior was up in the rafters holding like a blow-up doll that was supposed to be Ed Leslie? Do you remember that one?
Yeah, the Disciple. Oh God. I mean, if Eric Bischoff had turned up, I almost wish we could go back in time and just see what that would have looked like. Can you imagine? Because if that adds up, and obviously we won't give away what happens at Halloween Havoc 99 because our producer Ollie's still on that Pod of Thunder journey, but you were at that Halloween Havoc in 1999. You could have saw the ghost of Eric Bischoff.
Yeah, well, I could have done, yeah. Instead, we saw Medusa pouring a nitro cologne over someone. I think it was Bobby Heenan. That was certainly one of the wackiest ideas they came up with, wasn't it? Nitro cologne. I mean, can you imagine it? Nitro cologne. I think Medusa said words to the effect of "it smells like crap" or something like that. I mean, the Bischoff thing is just, I mean, it's really hard to imagine how it could have succeeded, thinking about it. I mean, it just sounds totally absurd. And, as we know in pro wrestling, a little bit absurd can be really entertaining at times if it's handled well and all the people are committed to it. And there was a reason for it to occur. I mean, the thing with the Bischoff thing is, that had he got approval for this, had this been rubber stamped and it had been enacted, that he would have started it, fans would have rejected it, and probably 3 weeks later, Bischoff would have been back on Nitro, probably burying his own storyline, his own creative. That's probably what would have happened, because by 99, they were spending far too much time on the message boards, which if you go back to 99, not everyone was on the internet in 99. It was only a small group of hardcore fans, many of whom really detested WCW, partly because so much of what he did was dreadful, dire. But they were paying attention to a very small minority of their audience. And if this small minority was rejecting something, they were then overreacting and just not seeing it through and just cancelling it and moving on to something else. And that was, one of the underrated factors of why WCW really lost the plot, because they weren't listening to the wider audience. They were really, their focus group was like the diehards. And obviously you do have to listen to them to an extent, but when you're pitching or producing a product for literally millions of people, it's the wider audience that are therefore more important than the diehards, obviously. So I'm glad it didn't happen, this idea. I think it would have bombed, Kenny. What do you think?
I mean, I want to see it for the real cringe factor that it would have brought in. I mean, the ghost of Eric Bischoff. I mean, so are we to believe that if he had died, in inverted commas, in the plane crash in Mexico, that we would have reported on WCW television that Eric Bischoff has passed away? Then we would have had a funeral for Eric Bischoff. And
Yeah.
then at some stage, he was just going to show up as a ghost. And then are we meant to believe that someone was going to maybe try and punch him and he would like swoop back so that like you wouldn't get like the logistics of it fascinate me. Because I mean, remember that in 2007, if we kind of removed the Benoit situation, Vince McMahon had died in the limo
Yeah.
explosion, and we were going to have his
Yeah.
funeral on Raw. I mean, God knows how that was going to play out. I mean,
Well,
inevitably Vince would have turned back up.
I always thought he was going to survive the car bomb. That was how that was my understanding, was that he would have somehow survived it, and then it would have been this whodunit, who tried to assassinate Vince McMahon. That was my understanding of how it was going to play out. But I
Now,
mean, no
see,
doubt,
if you put it full circle, the person who done it should have been Bischoff, who tried to kill Vince because Vince won the war, and then
yeah,
Vince chucked him in a truck of
rubbish.
garbage.
Yes.
So, what ultimate revenge Eric Bischoff could have got by trying to kill Vince McMahon?
Kenny, it's brilliant. They should have done that. I mean, obviously they couldn't. But I mean, had it been Bischoff who was the assassin, I think that could have been quite special. And I don't know whether anyone was really that bothered about the Vince Bischoff match, but I think it was something that should have happened. I think
Yeah.
it was something we almost needed to see. You know, no prizes for guessing who would have won that one.